Hello, everyone. Welcome to this Monday edition of Weather to Watch, first Monday of the month of February, Groundhog Day. And we still have this battle that we've essentially had all winter with only minor interruptions, where the west is warm and generally the east is cool, although lately the southeast, and in particular Florida, has been on the receiving end of that cold air more than the northeast or the Great Lakes states. But we'll go over all that here coming up. Let's take a look at the visible satellite loop. And on this Monday, we have high clouds in the central plains. And look at the cold air streaming out over the Atlantic. It takes X number of miles for that cold air to pick up the necessary moisture and heat to form the clouds. And oftentimes that just forms perfectly the outline of the coast because of that fact. It's really quite fascinating. We do have a storm system in the northern plains, and generally the west is quiet except for some high clouds in the Pacific Northwest. If we overlay the 500 millibar flow on top of that, still have a sharp trough of low pressure leaving the east coast, and generally a flow still coming really out of the northwest with little disturbances that come through that tap into Arctic air still. And that pattern will persist for the eastern U.S. It'll shift around a little bit, but generally speaking, that's going to be true. But gradually, we're going to start to see this start to shift to a warmer pattern over, let's say, the western two-thirds of the U.S. So a little less cool over a little less area basically will be the general trend for the next couple of weeks. On the surface map here, at least this is the way the model looked at it here today. Another front is cutting through Wisconsin, as you saw. There's a freeze warning in effect for just about all of Florida, except for the extreme south and southeast part of the state, and a little bit of chunk of Georgia as well, as temperatures have gotten down below freezing in many areas. And now here is the 500 millibar anomaly, or the mean, over the next 7 days, actually starting today and going for the next 7 days through Sunday, of course. That shows a real high anomaly of heights or high pressure aloft, where you see the color, the red color there north of Montana. And that cool patch is still there. It's a little more off the Atlantic coast now, but still is making much of the east cool on average over the next 7 days. And we'll take a look at the temperature profile for that. And you can see that that purple bullseye over North Carolina is where on average things will be cooler. It looks like we're talking about the average high, low, all this over the next 7 days, about 15 degrees below the norms, whereas Western Canada, parts of Montana, and Dakotas will be on the complete opposite end of that spectrum, with the average temperature getting above, let's say, about 20 degrees above normal. If I look at the 500 millibar flow, at least according to the EPS, this is the ensemble model, it continues to show these deep troughs. So we're doubling down on cold air in the southeast there for a while. But you'll notice toward the end of this, while we still have a flow out of the northwest, there is some high pressure building in the western U.S. And once that last trough leaves, it will begin to ease its pattern on the east coast. You can kind of see it right there a little bit. And that's what the country has to look forward to. If we look at the temperature patterns specifically over the next couple of days, Tuesday, if it's colored warm, it's above normal. If it's colored in a cooler shade, it's below normal. And we're looking at high temperatures only in the 40s, 30s, even only in the teens through parts of New England. Florida recovers a little bit. Parts of West Texas are going to be a little bit cool. But much of the western U.S. is warm, and that really begins to be the effect on Thursday. You can see Montana will be into the mid 60s with much above normal temperatures there. But basically, roughly east of the Mississippi, it's going to be a little bit cool still. And then that coolness shifts to the northeast if we move ahead to Saturday. And if you look at the temperature hazards, this is the 5th through the 9th. So this is the 3 to 7 day temperature hazard. We can just see that the Northeast is now going to be the recipient of the cool air. It will leave the Southeast basically and still kind of hang out in the northeastern U.S. where it has on average been this winter. And it goes beyond, even to the 10th through the 16th, we have actually a moderate risk of a below normal temperature pattern. Pennsylvania, New England, New York State, even parts of Maryland, even parts of Virginia, seeing that cold air still in place. Now let's shift to the snow. I shifted this back to 72 hours, so this encompasses Saturday, Sunday, Monday, a little bit of Friday night even. And you can see that while there was some snow in Minnesota and the UP of Michigan certainly the snow award goes to the Carolinas in particular, North Carolina. We'll zoom in on that, and that's that huge cyclone that developed. There were actually two parts to that storm. There was just the part one, which a lighter snow cover over the Carolinas, and then actually that added up pretty good around Charlotte, as you can see there. And then the coastal bomb storm really dumped, as you can see. If you see the dark red dots, that's anywhere from 18 to possibly inches to 24 inches or 2 feet of snow that fell in the shores there of North Carolina in particular. Now we have a little minor storm that's moving across the central plains, a little bit of lake effect snow in Michigan, but you can see right around the Ohio Valley, including Louisville, Cincinnati, Ohio, getting into West Virginia, winter weather advisory there, where the National Weather Service is forecasting 3, maybe 4 inches of snow in that exact belt that I just showed you. The snow cover is down to 41% for the lower 48 after being around 55, 56% after that last big snow. Most of that went away because of melt in Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana, those areas. And as for the season, you can kind of see for yourself that while the predominant snowstorms in the darker purple were stretching from the Dakotas southeastward, lake effect snows are obvious, that the two big last snows include Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, Missouri. They got good snow, so did Kansas. And then this latest one, the Carolinas, laid down a pretty good track as well. And I do want to pause and talk about one more thing here, and that is that the snow hazards beyond the next week or so. So we're going from the 10th through the 13th of February. You notice the snow hazard shifts a little bit, so it is implying that eventually a trough of low pressure will develop out west and will spread that snow hazard from the Rockies into the northern plains. So that does represent another shift in the weather, but we're going to have to wait till about the middle of February to get that shift.